Narration exercise comes from Mrs. Piggle Wiggle's Magic by Betty McDonald. This is part 2 of Mrs. Piggle Wiggle's Magic excerpt by Betty McDonald, and you will be doing a 3 to 5 sentence narration from this particular excerpt. Remember, as we're reading, it'd be very helpful for you to be able to notate and specifically begin to break down the text so that you can summarize it well. Remember, you can also read this text more than once. Okay, here we go. Mrs. Hamilton gives Timmy and Wendy magic tattletale pills that Mrs. Piggle Wiggle sends her. This tells what happens next. Galoshes is another name for rubber boots. As Mrs. Hamilton took up her children's oatmeal and poured their milk, she glanced fearfully toward the back stairs. How would they look this time, and what had the magic pills done to them? In no time at all, she had her answer. First, she heard shrill, fighting voices, quick, chasing footsteps, slaps and yelps, and then racing down the stairs came the tattlers, each red-faced and anxious to tell first. "Mother!" said Wendy as she slid through the kitchen door. "Mother! Timmy!" But instead of the long tattletale she intended, out of Wendy's mouth came a big puff of black smoke. The puff of smoke was shaped like a little black cloud, except that hanging from the bottom of it were 4 little black tails. Little black tattletales. The black cloud rose to the ceiling and stuck. The 4 little tails swayed gently back and forth. Timmy said, "My gosh, did you see that? Smoke came out of Wendy's mouth. Say, Mother, I bet old Wendy's been..." But instead of saying, smoking, as he intended, a big puff of black smoke came out of his mouth. It, too, was a little black cloud, but it had only one tail hanging from it, because he had only intended to tattle about one thing. Timmy and Wendy stood with their mouths open, staring at the ceiling. Mrs. Hamilton said, "Well, I've always wondered what a tattletale looks like. Now I know. Ugh, what ugly things." Wendy and Timmy didn't say anything. They looked at the ceiling, then at each other, and then back at the ceiling. Finally, they sat down to breakfast. After breakfast, it was still snowing hard, but Wendy and Timmy said they were going out to shovel the walks. They put on their leggings, coats, caps, and mittens, without a word, but they couldn't decide whose galoshes were whose, and they began jerking them back and forth and pushing and shoving, and finally were just going to yell for Mrs. Hamilton to tattle when out of their open mouths came 2 huge rolls of black smoke, each with a long black tattletale suspended from it. The 2 new tattletales soared slowly upwards and stuck to the ceiling not far from the first 2. Wendy said, "What if that happened in school?" Timmy said, "Boy, the kids would sure be surprised. I can just hear old Miss Harkness. She'd say, 'Timmy Hamilton, you've been smoking!'" Wendy said, "I don't think I'd like to have that happen in school. All the children would laugh at me. Hey, these are your galoshes. I can tell because they are a teensy bit littler than mine." They put on their galoshes and went quietly out to shovel the walks. All right, that's the end of this excerpt. Please write 3 to 5 sentences narrating this particular excerpt. Good luck.